publish literary work for children by a Filipino. The Monkey and the Turtle is a very popular Filipino folktale, and our national hero seems to be very fond of it. In fact, on an earlier occasion, in 1885, he retold it in Spanish with a French title and an accompanying 35 illustrations. In 1984, I headed the researchers who decided on a symbolic date for the Philippine National Children's Book Day. We should have chosen April 2nd, the birth date of Hans Christian Andersen, and considered as International Children's Book Day. But on April 2nd, we also celebrate the birth anniversary of the Prince of Philippine Poetry, Francisco Malagtas. We could have celebrated another more significant date for children's literature in our history, but we could not find any. Until that year, 1984, when I, together with a group of children's literature lovers, organized the Philippine Board on Books for Young People, or PBBY, we realized our literary tradition did not include any historical concern to write for Filipino children. Jose Rizal was an exception. He, in fact, even translated 5 of Hans Christian Andersen's stories from German and sent them as Christmas gifts to his niece and 2 nephews in the Philippines so that they could read something other than the religious booklets of our Spanish colonial period. I have to admit that I had a similar vision when I started the Adarna book series in 1977. I grew up in a farming community where there were no books to read except for small textbooks in school. The shelves of the National Bookstore, the only bookstore in most urban centers, were dominated by expensive imported American and British children's books. There were sporadic attempts to promote Filipino children's literature, but these were limited to 1 or 2 publications. A children's book by a Filipino author was fortunate to join the imported books of National Bookstore, and more fortunate to be noticed by 2 or 3 buyers. There was a huge market for children's books in the Philippines, but it was not oriented to buy books made in the Philippines. As a foremost critic of modern Filipino society said, our country is a victim of centuries of miseducation. Most of us take pride in loving the West than our own. What more, the Philippines then was so poor, and until now, that a major portion of the market could not afford anything more expensive than a pack of cigarettes. Against this backdrop, I ventured to promote Adarna Books as Libro ng Batang Filipino, a book for Filipino children. I chose the name Adarna because it is the most beautiful bird in our mythology, with songs that can heal any kind of sickness. Our country was sick in all aspects. It needed a healing song. The educational messages of children's stories in the Adarna books. So more than 12 decades after Rizal's retelling of a folktale, and 4 decades after the first 5 Adarna books, let us check on the Filipino children's books industry and how the country is doing in terms of readership. First, there are now awards and contests to encourage the production of children's literature. Aside from being the main organizer of the annual National Children's Book Day, the Philippine Board on Books for Young People is also known for giving out annual Salanga Prize and Alcala Prize, named after two of its late founding members, writer Alfredo Salanga and illustrator Larry Alcala. These contests are held to promote quality children's book writing and illustrators. And what more, winners of these contests are given the opportunity to be published by one of our book publishers. Another literary award that gives recognition to outstanding children's book publishers is the Gintong Aklat Award, established in 1981 and managed by our Book Development Association of the Philippines. A third one is given out by the country's most prestigious and longest-running literary contest, the Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature, which started to give recognition to short stories for children in 1989, and then recently added the category of poetry for children. Second, PBBY also engaged in workshops and seminars which aim to educate librarians, parents, and other sectors. Because of these workshops, for example, the writers and illustrators were organized. So now we have an organization of writers for children called Kuting, and of illustrators for children called ING. And then recently, an organization of storytellers called Alitaptap. Third, several non-profit organizations have now committed themselves to promoting the love and habit of reading among Filipino children. They are on the screen. Even the Department of Education, for instance, has set up library hubs all over the country. These hubs serve as warehouses where teachers can borrow books in large volumes and transport them to faraway schools, making it possible for children's books to be more accessible to public school teachers and students. And then fourth, Adarna House is joined by other publishing houses now. I think at least we have 5 publishing houses concentrating on children's books. The question is, how many readers have we reached? The good news is that in the 2007 readership survey, 82% of the respondents agreed that it was important for children to read. The same survey also said that 92.40% considered themselves readers, and 83.22% mentioned books as part of their reading materials. And then third, 80.22% specified reading non-school books. But what about the children? Because this is a survey of adult readers. In a 2003 survey, it said that 35% of families with members aged 7 to 17 years have at least one member that read non-school books. But what do they read? The same survey said 22% of them read the Bible and romance novels. Not that there is anything wrong with reading the Bible or romance novels, but it is very clear that the new quality books being produced by our local children's book community have not yet truly penetrated the intended market. There are problems. One of them is our geography. The Philippines is an archipelago of more than 7,100 islands. but distribution of children's books in the Philippines remains to be metro-centric. Half of the total number of major bookstores in the country is located in the National Capital Region. There is a table here that I will show you. And you will see here, this is a table of major bookstores in the Philippines, namely the National Bookstore, the Power Books, and Fully Book. And you can see here the distribution of their branches all over the Philippines. There are some regions without any branch. In this table, you can see that of the 152 branches, only 12 are located in our Visayas region and 9 in Mindanao. In the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao, it's a big region, there is none. And it's a pity because the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao had a poor population of 1 million plus. It also said that the literacy rate, it has the lowest literacy rate of 71.6. But apart from access to bookstores, we also have to recognize that there might be a problem with the bookstores themselves. Last June 2011, Ms. Karina Bulasco, the founder and publishing manager of Anvil Publishing, showed 2 pies showing the 2009 and 2010 sales quantities of locally produced books and imported books from the US and the UK. And you can see in the pies that in 2009, at least, it's half and half. But in 2010, there are more important books being sold than locally produced books. This kind of proof is used by many to say that with its English-speaking and reading population, our publishing audience is merely an extension of the United States and the United Kingdom's publishing audience. But this is not necessarily accurate. If we look at the 2007 survey, a number of respondents said that Tagalog or Filipino or any other language in the Philippines, native language of the Philippines, was both their reading language and their preferred reading language that greatly outnumbered those that named English as theirs. It's on the screen. It is sad to think that just because of logistical and shelf-space issues, our citizens are not given the opportunity to maximize their experience of Filipino literature. This holds especially true for our Filipino youth because the Philippine children's book community has worked tremendously hard to make sure that there are varied, age-appropriate, and quality works of literature for them to enjoy, as shown by the following table. As you can see in this table, in 2009, we are now annually and regularly publishing books, new titles. And you can see that in 2009, because of the record of Lampara Books, it published 49 books in that year, the number of books increased by 45%. I'm sorry that I don't have time to at least describe some of the books which are in this table. But I have some of them here, and maybe after this session, you can see for yourselves the quality and the topics of the books that we have been publishing during the last few years. What I can say is that I can now proudly report that our publishing houses are coming out with a variety of reading materials for our children. But there is much left to be done. Our mission of healing the sickness of Philippine society through quality education and children's books is still very much underway. These are challenges I was faced with when I entered this world in 1977. Challenges that exist to this day and shall remain until all involvement in the children's book industry is honorable and significant, until children's literature is considered of paramount value by our leaders and our people, and most hopefully until all our hard work has produced a new generation of thinking citizens who are inspired and proud to be of service to our country. Thank you. Salamat po.